Welcome. Let's explore ego and if that's who we think we are. Ego is a concept, and some people think it's real, an actual self-existing entity. So let's look into that and see what it really is. I remember back when I was 18, my first year in college, studying psychology and learning about the ego, the id and the superego was incredibly valuable. It helped me have names for things that were were internally bothering me that I didn't understand. And so with these labels, I could make sense of what I was experiencing, you know, experiencing feelings of guilt, feelings of longing, feelings of confusion. I'm 18. And, so we're looking for answers. So everything has its place. Labels do have their place. The key is recognizing and not becoming identified with the labels and thinking that the labels are what actually is. And it doesn't matter if we're talking about ego or a table. Nothing is what the label, the concept declares it to be, and that can be explored. So, right now I'd like to explore this whole idea of the ego. And, I was reading on different social media posts how people believe that ego is essential to be able to function. Well, what does that mean? What are people thinking ego is that I can't function without it? Um, Ego is associated with this identity of a separate me person with a history and likes and dislikes and, you know, all this. And that's fine. We're all taught that growing up. But let me remind you that prior to language, there is no ego or identity or this sense of a separate self. They're simply experiencing. They're simply whatever is appearing. And there's no separation. There's me here and then there's that over there. There's simply the flow of experiencing as appearances just flow and shift. And anybody watching a toddler can really see and appreciate the absolute spontaneity and joy without there being any identity or a me or thoughts about anything. It's just this pure flowing experiencing. So that is the innocence that we start with. And of course, language is necessary and learning that I'm me and you're you, and that's mommy and that's ball. That's all part of the unfolding of what is called this human life. But the question of ego and, I mean, obviously, as a psychotherapist trained, there is such a thing as ego development. So I'm not denying anything. It's all part of this, what is called a human unfolding. So it's it's a discovery. It's a process of discovery and the recognition that whatever is here can exist and is more than the labels that are given to it. So as this unfolding continues, these recognitions that, the way I'm holding reality to be, what I think everything is much more. I mean, for example, go out into nature. Um, how busy are you labeling, oh, that's a tree and there's a squirrel and there's a this and there's a river. I mean, when you're in nature, for example, isn't it more likely that you don't feel the urge or need to delineate and separate? Oh, here's me and there's that amazing river. I mean, there's just this flow of experience, isn't there? And this is how it always is. And the opportunity is to see how we've just been programmed to create these separations. And then some people will say, um, they'll talk about ego death. Well, how can something die if it never existed in the first place? I mean, it only exists as a concept. So what's actually dying? There's maybe what's dying is just the idea about it. But ideas are coming and going all the time. There's no idea that is constantly present. I mean, a dog barks, then I have an idea about the dog. But then a wind blows, or a bee flies by, or there's this incredible bird that just landed uh, nearby. I mean, thought is always shifting because appearance, whatever is appearing, is always shifting. So there's nothing static, even though something may appear static. The flow of experience is just this ongoing, sometimes incredibly subtle, just like the breath, just like a shadow. Everything is in motion, no matter how minute it might seem. And so this can be recognized. And the dividing lines and the divisions as these experiences are played with can begin to soften. It's only when things are held really tightly to be a certain way and the mind has a grip on this is the way things are and this is who I am and that's what this is. Only when this grip on so-called reality is held really, really tightly, can there be a fear arising that things might not be the way I think they are. Um, and so hopefully that's not what's happening because, that has its own challenges. But this invitation is about exploring reality, exploring experience, and beginning to recognize that this experience, there isn't this experience out there and then me over here. It may appear that way because that's the way labeling has programmed us to experience things. But if you really notice, and maybe even just let your eyes go soft and fuzzy, or look through your peripheral vision, things are less delineated, they're less defined. And that is the way toddlers experience reality as well. we've just been brainwashed to learn how to focus and see this, that, and the other thing because of the labeling. When thought is less and less identified with, I mean, thoughts can go by, they're not the enemy, but when when it's recognized that thought is not the end all and be all, that there is so much more in experiencing than thought. I mean, there's sound. Just notice all the sound. There's sensation. Feel the sensation, you know, the butt on whatever you're sitting, the bottoms of the feet, wind on the skin. I mean, there's light, there's color, there's shapes, there's texture. This is all direct experience happening right now in this immediacy. We tend to tune it out because, oh, there's nothing happening, oh well. But everything's happening. It's just more subtle. So when we learn how to, so-called quiet down, learn how to be more at ease, more relaxed, slow down, whatever you want to call it. The more subtle impressions can be more appreciated, and the big noises, the thoughts, what's happening, and all the rest of it are just much less interesting. And now here's another sound coming. Maybe you can hear it. Everything comes and goes. Nothing is static. So when things just kind of slow down, become more quiet, uh, thought being held much more loosely, um, everything just seems more okay. And even if something that arises is a difficult moment or difficult experience or, you know, just a pain in the ass, whatever, um, even if reaction occurs, um, identification might, arise and, irritation shows up or, you know, it's okay. Everything that appears is okay because nothing is taken as, this, it's just all held more loosely. Uh, I can't emphasize that enough. And so whatever thoughts are appearing come and go, and they don't have to be believed so much either. I mean, they can show up and say whatever they want, um, but they're no authority anymore. And so they just come and go. So the idea of fear, uh, what's happening with my ego, or I have to improve my ego, or I have to get rid of my ego, um, all of that is just recognized as more thought. Just anything that thought tells you that you have to do or that you shouldn't do, you know, there's something innate and inherent, this inherent wisdom within that doesn't require an ego to tell you what to do or what not to do. I mean, there's this inherent wisdom, there's this inherent intelligence, and the fear and the guilt and the sorrow and the regret. I mean, it's all driven by thought. So, my invitation is just to notice thought. Just notice as it comes and goes. The little cautionary word is don't jump in the boat with it as it's going down the river, Because if you jump in the boat, you're going to attach to the thought, you're going to think you're thinking it, and you're going to believe it. But if you recognize thought is simply one of the many dimensions of experience that I've discussed in other talks, it's just one of the many dimensions, and it comes and goes, and it's not solid, it's not yours, and it doesn't belong to you. There can be much more freedom. But experiment, explore, and see for yourself, because this is all based on direct experience. And I love hearing from you. I love your questions, and I'm looking forward to more exploring. Thank you so much, and take good care.